Welcome, 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 everybody. You are certainly in for a treat today. Today's webinar is titled, How to Be a More Successful Introverted Entrepreneur. My name is Michael Haskett, and I'm thrilled to be co-hosting this webinar today. I'm the creative director at Durango Courses, where our experts condense their years of experience, training, and education into practical, fun, interesting, action-packed courses that provide real results. And in the next 60 minutes, our award-winning expert, Roger Haskett, will keep you on the edge of his seat with his tips, tactics, and secrets to make your introverted entrepreneur business a success. Let's go over live to Roger. I'll give you a quick shot of Roger. There he is. Morning, Roger.
Good morning. I hope everyone's great today.
I'm sure everybody's going, oh, you heard Roger sniffling. He's got a little bit of a cold there, so we'll have to put
Yes,
up with
I
it
apologize. I've got a cold / allergies, I think. And so I will be probably sniffing through the webinar, which I apologize for because I find it very annoying listening to people sniffle. So I apologize. I hope I won't do too much.
It's all right. We'll deal with that. All right. Let's just make sure everybody can hear and see me okay. Just type yes in the have a question box right below the video and then click submit. That way I can know that you're hearing us and everybody is able to participate well. While you're doing that, in one of the emails sent out to you, we asked you a question. And the question was, do you identify more as being an introvert or as being an entrepreneur? In that same have a question box, can you put in introvert or entrepreneur? That'll give us an indication of which way you lean more to, and then we can customize the results accordingly so that we are making this presentation explicitly for the people in our audience today. Now, just a real quick note about webinars and technology. If at any time throughout the webinar you experience technical difficulties like the screen freezes, you lose sound or picture, just try refreshing and reloading the page. That normally works. If it doesn't, close the page, go to your welcome email, click on the login, and you should be able to pop back right on right away. Now, it's always nice to say hello to everybody personally, but a bit impractical due to the size of our audience. So randomly, from the people that have submitted their questions already, we're going to say hello to Debbie, Marissa, Karen, Eugene, Jamie, Steve, Keith, Angela, Susan, Phil, and of course, a big hello to everyone else. All right, answers are coming in, and I'm going to tabulate these with the emails answers set in. Looks like, Roger, we're at about 65% people identifying as being introvert. So, yeah. Roger, you can customize your material, all right?
That's pretty normal.
Yeah, 2/3, that's about it. Now, how about if we all maximize our experience today? So let's make sure that we get the best and most out of this that we can. So let's turn down your background information, get rid of your email, your Skype, your iTunes, any extra programs that you may have on. Silence your phones, close your door, put on a headset if needed, and give yourself this time to discover these new strategies. Now, we've invested a lifetime in the strategies explored in this webinar, and we don't want you to miss anything. We promise to make it worth every minute of your time, and we promise to keep this webinar to 60 minutes. And at the end of the webinar, we're going to share with you something really cool, so we want you to stick around for that. Now, today, Roger is going to share his own personal experiences to help you better understand how to be a more successful introverted entrepreneur. And more importantly, how you can apply those strategies in your life. Plus, Roger will include stories and examples from some of the thousands of students he has also helped to improve their business, social, and family lives. Our goal is that you walk away from this masterclass thinking, holy cow, this is some of the best information I've ever received. That's truly our goal for you. So now let's get on to introducing our expert, Roger Haskett. For those of you curious, Roger and I are brothers. That's why we have the last name that's the same. It's the first time Roger's going to say here, he's the younger one. He likes to point that out, not by a lot, but he is the younger one.
It is true.
It's true. And it's the first time Roger and I have had a chance to work on a large project like this, and we're very excited about doing this and being able to present this incredible material to you. Roger is an award-winning director, actor, teacher, speaker, and of course, an introverted entrepreneur. He uses foundation of neuroscience and performance theory. Roger and his company, Engagement Unlimited, are pushing the boundaries on how to create engagement for individuals and companies. Roger has a fine arts in acting and a master's in education. He's acted in over 150 films, TV shows, and commercials, and he's auditioned approximately 3,000 times in over 20 years. Some of the shows that Roger's been in. Roger's been in iRobot, Supernatural, Stargate, X-Files, The Flash. Some of the people that Roger's worked with: Ben Affleck, Matt Dillon.
I really liked working with Matt Dillon, actually.
Matt Dillon, you have a great story about that. Maybe later on we can come back to that.
Mm.
Matt Dillon, Paul Giamatti, Shia LaBeouf. Sorry, Shia, if I pronounced it wrong, but Shia LaBeouf and Ricky Schroeder.
Ricky was another really nice guy, actually.
Yeah, he's a local guy, isn't he?
No. He's from Saved by the Bell or something.
He's the Silver Spoons guy.
That's it, I think. Silver, something like that.
Silver Spoons. Okay. Yeah. Now, just before we get to Roger live again, Dave Lieber is the Dallas Morning News columnist. This is what he had to say about one of Roger's presentations. He was by far the best speaker. I was amazed by his fun sense of humor and, most important, how much I learned from him. I implemented his tips immediately and saw a noticeable improvement in my business. Terry Brock, Hall of Fame speaker. For those of you who don't know, Hall of Fame speakers are not a dime a dozen. They are very few. There's not a lot of them around. It takes a lot of effort to become that. Terry said, brilliant, lots of great value. Roger combines a mega genius mind with superb acting skills and delivers a practical, powerful message to his audience. I was glad to get there. Here's Roger with his family, his wife, 3 kids. Another shot of the happy bunch.
Aren't they adorable?
Aren't they adorable? And off we go live to Roger. Here he is. He's coming live to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm over in Victoria, British Columbia, up in the northwest corner of Canada, or the west corner of Canada. So there's Roger live. Take it away, Roger.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much. I know how busy we all are, so I really appreciate your taking your time out of your day for this webinar. Okay, so let's start. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. Okay, now the reason I'm going to tell you about my story is because most people don't believe I'm an introvert. I have a really hard time trying to convince people that I'm an introvert. You know, when I started reading Susan Cain, when I started looking, and it was actually sort of hard to convince myself too, because I have a lot of extroverted characteristics. I'm an actor. I like to get on stage in front of people. I'm a teacher. I like to have people listen when I'm teaching. And so it was hard to sort of balance the fact that I use my energy as an extrovert a lot of the time, but I gather my energy as an introvert. But when I was reading Susan Cain, when I'm reading more and more about introverts, I was identifying more and more with them, going, oh, that's me. Like that's the way I am. So it's not so hard to understand why people would find it hard to believe I'm an introvert when I found it hard to believe I was an introvert, but I am. As a matter of fact, you guys probably have heard this term now. There's an ambivert out there, right? Someone who's like ambidextrous, but introvert and extrovert. And that almost everyone actually falls into this category, because there's a famous quote that if you actually met an extrovert or an introvert in person, like a pure extrovert or pure introvert, they would probably be in an insane asylum, right? Because to be that extreme is extreme. But speaking of extreme, I actually think I'm an extremist. I have extreme introvert tendencies and extreme extrovert tendencies. So we're going to talk about that. I think that actually helps me be a more aware teacher when I talk to introverts or even extroverts, because I share characteristics from both. So let's talk about my story. So I've been an entrepreneur for since I graduated university, probably before that. When I graduated university, within the first month, I think I'd started 3 companies.
That's all, just 3, Roger?
Just 3 in the first month. And those 3 actually carried me for like years and decades, actually. So the one I want to talk to you about, I had a real estate sort of little empire that I built up, but that's not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is talking about my company, Engagement Unlimited. So I've had this company 24 years. And what happened, I saw a pattern develop over decades, and it took me a long time to recognize it, because when it's so close to you, it's really hard to see your patterns often. Like often we have to turn to best friends or books or coaches to help really see what our patterns are. So my pattern became obvious over time. And what happened was this: I had created a company that was making amazing products. We do entertainment and education at conferences and meetings and events, at experiential events. And I heard over and over and over and over and over and over again that we were just amazing. Like, I get off the stage and people be like, "Oh my goodness, we've never had anything like that. Like, this was absolutely amazing." And so I would get super excited by hearing those type of comments. I'd be like, "Yeah, like things are successful. Look at the quality of what I'm doing, and look at how happy my clients are." And yet, over decades, I realized that my company wasn't really growing. It was still sort of staying at the same sales level for 15 years. And that didn't really make any sense to me. And I started to examine my process, like my pattern, to see what my pattern really was. And what I became aware of was that what I thought my job was, this is really important, like how you think about things, obviously. What I thought my job was, I did everything. I sold stuff, I wrote it, I directed it, I cast it, I did the costumes for it, I drove people to the shows, I organized the shows once there, I was often in the shows. And so by the time the show was done and I walked off the stage, I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I've done all those things and now I'm done. And people, clients, other performers would say to me, they go, "Hey, Roger, let's go out to get something to drink now. Like, whoa, that was an amazing event. Like, let's go celebrate. Like, let's go socialize." And I would go, maybe you recognize this, okay? I would go, "No, thanks." I go, "No, thank you." And inside my head, I'd be thinking, my job is done. Like, I've done all of these things, like marketed, sold, blah, blah, blah. I did all of these things. And now, once I'm done, my time is my time. Like, my time is now mine. And what I want to do now with the time that I have remaining that day is not spend it with other people. That's what I've just been doing, spending it with doing all these things to make the show possible. What I wanted to do and what I did was actually go home to my space, like go home to my family, go home to my close group of friends, and I would spend time with them. I would recharge, alone, reading a book upstairs in my room, or, hanging out with my wife or hanging out with my kids, small groups that recharged me, not going out for drinks with other people, to socialize. I needed to take my time and to get away and to make it my time. Like, maybe you recognize this, introvert. Maybe introverts that are out there, because one of the characteristics of introverts is that we desperately need to recharge, usually alone or with a very small group of people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you should be looking around your life and going, yeah, that's me.
Fits most of us to a T, Roger. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I realized is that I was totally shooting myself in the foot, right? Like, you see that, right? Because the marketing mantra is this. This is the number one marketing mantra, right? People want to work with you if they know, like, and trust you. So what I was allowing people to do is trust me, because I was putting out consistently awesome work. But what I wasn't giving people a chance to do is to know or to like me, because they needed to socialize to do that. They needed to get me away from work and to have conversations with them that were like person-to-person conversations, not like client, to supplier conversations. That's what they desperately wanted, and what I wouldn't do for 15, 17 years. I just wouldn't do it. Like, I constantly said, sayonara, see you later. I'm going to do what I need to do. So, but you can see that this is a challenge, right? Like, as an entrepreneur, it's your job to build up your company. And usually if you're a solopreneur, which a lot of us are, it means that you have to do everything. Like, you have to do all these roles, whether you want to or not. So this is what we're going to get to talk to deeper in, whether you want to or not. And so what I realized about 7 years ago was that I needed to change my pattern. I needed to stop thinking about my job ending when my show was done, and I needed to think about my job, a certain part of my job, starting right then. And that what I needed to do is think an extra half hour or an extra hour to go, I need to add another hour on if I can, to go spend time with this person so I can socialize, so that rather than having the same amount of sales year after year, I can start seeing more sales. So what I did about 7 years ago, 5 years ago or so, was I started to join associations. I started to join a community. So I'm in the meeting industry, so I started to join meeting groups and event groups. I started to join these groups that were full of people like me trying to create companies in this industry. And so what I did is, and when I went there, I didn't just go there. I actually went there with some of the stuff that I'm going to be teaching in another couple minutes. I went with that energy, and it made all the difference. So rather than hanging around the edge of a networking event, I figured out how to be at the center of a networking event, so that instead of meeting, one or two people badly, which is what I used to do, I met 5 or 10 or 15 people really well. And I actually started to make relationships that made a difference. So starting 4 years ago, we doubled our sales. Last year, the year after that, we doubled them again. And this year we're we're on our way. We're already halfway through the year, and we're already on our way to doubling our sales again. So that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't change the way I thought about what my job was. Okay, so let's move on. So we can come back and talk about that stuff later. We're going to talk about that stuff further in for sure. Tons of details about how to manage your energy around these issues. But let's go to what we're here for. We're here to talk
Roger,
about...
give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Just to give these people an idea, how much do you attribute that growth of your sales, that doubling and that doubling, to what we're talking about here? Is it a fraction? Is it the majority of it? Is it, can you actually say that my sales have gone because I've changed the way I've looked at interacting with people? And
I think it's as simple as that. Yeah, I changed my attitude about what my job was and how I interacted with people as part of my job, and that changed things. Yeah, and there's other things that always, fall in. Like, we started to do bigger shows, and we started to have, bigger budgets for shows, and we started to do bigger things. So that, some of those shows that were bigger got more attention, but we only got those bigger shows because we had conversations with people.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple things involved. Like, I don't believe that we ever have a sales. Like, when I hire people and they say things like, oh, and I didn't talk about that as well. The other thing, so remind me to come back and talk about sales versus conversations, Michael. But the other thing I didn't say as well is that 5 years ago, I hired someone. So I had been a solopreneur, really, basically, up until then. And then I hired someone. And so this was really hard. This was really hard for me. And probably you understand what I'm talking about, because the idea of bringing someone into my office, like where they would be with me all day long, just about made me ill, because I want my space. Like, I want to be able to like sit in my chair and think in detail about what it is that I want to do. And having someone else in my space just seemed to be like I had to choose one or the other. So 5 years ago, I started to work on new strategies that allowed me to be myself while there was someone else in my office, like not in my actual space. They were across the hall, but they were, in my space 8 hours a day, in my, connected to my office. Yeah, really, really, really challenging. And, now I have 3 people full-time and another couple part-time. So, this was another big challenge and a big change. And yet, because of those changes, we are now looking at an incredible surge in our sales. So yes, those sort of techniques, what I'm talking about, and changing the way I think about what my job is, and if people help me in my job or not, that made all the difference. Yeah. So just to get back to sales and conversation. So when I hire people and they say, I don't do sales. I say, don't worry, we don't do sales either. What we do is we talk to people, we have conversations, because I don't believe that sales, is helped by a sales attitude. What I believe sales are helped by is helping other people. And our job is just to help other people. Like, we're here to help other people make their jobs easier, because what we do makes their jobs easier. So if you think of it that way, it's a very different way than I've actually got to sell to people. So that's something really good for introverts, because introverts tend not to like to sell either. They don't like a lot of rah, 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 shish, boom, bah, we're going to sell this and we're going to cram it down down your throat, whether you like it or not. Like, that's not how introverts like to work. Most introverts have a softer side. They want to have conversations with people. They don't want to sell. So keep that in mind as we talk further and further. You want to be conversing with people, not selling people. Okay, so let's get on to networking and how to make networking more profitable and more pleasant. And really, the important thing here is pleasant, because it's hard to get to profitable unless you get to pleasant first. So the very first thing I teach all of the people who I hire, all my performers, right? So I hire, we're often, have 30, 40 performers working in a night. Excuse me. First thing I say to people when I hire them, and the last thing I say to them just before we walk out and do a show is, the more fun you have, the more fun they have. That's it. It's as simple as that. The more fun you have, the more fun they have. So if you want people to bond with you, the trick is to have fun. And the trick is not to have them have fun. The trick is for you to have fun. Now, you're an introverted entrepreneur. You might be sort of a little, concern going, well, it's not so easy for me to have fun in these networking situations, right?
Right.
Yeah. So this is what we're going to talk about, because if you can break that, if you can crack that issue, if you can figure out how to start pulling fun into your life when you're doing things that normally fill you full of dread, well, you become a force of nature. And if you're a force of nature, people are attracted to you. And soon you won't have to do that much stuff, because people will start coming and doing the work for you. So having fun, it's amazing. Like, I walk into a networking event now where people know me, and I have friends, and I don't have to worry about walking up to groups of people for the most part. I have people who walk up to me. Why? Because I bring some fun, and everyone wants to have fun. And almost everyone, this is the other secret, almost everyone hates networking. They hate it, just deep in their bones. They hate it. They hide it. They fake it. They do all sorts of things, but really they hate it because it's uncomfortable. It's one of the things that makes humans uncomfortable. So as an introvert, you're not like different. Like, there's nothing broken in you. It's not like, oh my goodness, I've got something that makes it makes it impossible for me to enjoy networking. You're just like everyone else. You're just a little more extreme than other people because you're an introvert. But extremity here doesn't mean you can't change. So, okay, let's talk about how to be more profitable, more pleasant. So let's keep in mind, the more fun you have, the more fun they have. Michael, let me, afterwards, I want to talk to you about a riff on pleasant and present. Okay, so we'll talk about that after. I just thought of something. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is this. No small talk. When you're at a networking event, no small talk. You're an introvert. You hate small talk. You hate it. If you're like any other introvert, you hate it. You despise the time you've wasted while you are small talking. So no small talk, only vital talk. Okay, so as an introvert, figure out the things that are really valuable to you, really meaningful to you. And your job in a networking event is to link things that are really meaningful to you and really meaningful to the person or the people you're talking to. And your job is to create that bridge so that your vital interest overlaps with another person's vital interest and you start conversing about meaning. No small talk, only vital talk. So your job as an introvert, now introverts tend to be, I hope this is you, tend to be really good at analysis and observation. They tend to be really good at being inside their head, being quiet in amongst a bunch of noise. So use that skill set and look around the room. Right? And look around the room to see who you can talk to, who looks like they might need some vital talk too. And then when you go talk to them, start asking them all sorts of questions. Question, in a good way, in a fun way, in a dynamic way, not in a relentlessly unpleasant way, but ask questions and ask questions around what you find vital. So for me, I love, I keep saying that I love being a parent. I love being a parent, but holy cow, it's hard being a parent at times. So for me, parenting is one of those topics that I can talk about for a long time. It's very near to my soul. Good times, bad times, funny times, miserable times, all sorts of stories. So I start, like, for example, asking stuff like, are you married? Do you have kids? How many kids do you have? How old are they? What are they, boys and girls? I just ask very basic, very straightforward questions to see how much pleasure the other person is getting while they talk about it, right? Because it's about making it pleasurable for them too. No small talk, just vital talk. Talk about vital things that will pull meaning out of people. The way you create engagement, my company is called Engagement Unlimited. One of the number one ways that you create engagement is through meaning. There's other ways, but this is one of the number one easiest ways. The moment that people feel something is meaningful, they lean in. So I talk about parenting, and if they don't respond to that, I talk about other things like books or movies. I talk about the industry that we're in. And my all-time favorite backup, when nothing else works, I'm going to tell you a story about this in a minute, is I talk about how uncomfortable I am. So I will go up to a person and be like, yeah, I don't know. Do you like these events? Like, these events are a little stressful for me. Like, I find them a little stressful. Like, I don't know you. We're supposed to talk about things. It's a little awkward, right? And 99% of the time, the person looks back at me and goes, oh my goodness, you too? Yeah. I find these, this is my third time here. I really don't know anyone. And all of a sudden we bonded on a very vital topic, which is how we both feel right in that moment, which isn't comfortable. So bonding around discomfort, an amazing way to bond. So the more fun you have, the more fun they have. Don't forget, you want to keep these conversations as much as possible lively. So get ready with some stories. Have a couple of stories. Like, in parenting, here's a great story. In networking, here's a great story. Here's a couple killer stories. And how do you find out if you have killer stories? You use them. You try them on people, and you watch really carefully, because the moment they start to blink and phase off, the moment they start looking around the room at other people, the moment they start shuffling, the moment they're not leaning in, is the moment you have to figure out how to make that story more interesting. And that's your job. You're an introvert. You can tell stories. You can do it inside your head. You can do it outside your head. I believe you can. You just haven't probably had that much experience. So just get some experience. Okay, moving on. So no small talk, only vital talk. We're only scratching the surface here, right? There's tons more information where this came from. We are only scratching the surface with 30 or 40 minutes of detail of content, right? There are hours and hours and hours of content that we can actually talk about. The next point, okay, this is also applicable to introverts. Don't make acquaintances, make friends. All right. So blow out of the water this idea that networking is so that you can make a whole bunch of shallow contacts. Forget it. Shallow contacts are usually worthless. What you want is a real relationship. Right? Know, like, and trust. You want a real relationship with people. So instead of setting up, I've got to have 16 conversations with people that really are, small talk and are going to make me feel like I have to wash afterwards because I feel so gross. Instead of that, have 3 conversations with people that you are hoping to make your friend. The idea is introverts don't like a whole bunch of superficial acquaintances. We tend to like a small group of friends. So be an introvert, right? Don't be an extrovert when you can't be an extrovert. Be an introvert, especially when introverts give you power. And this is a place that being an introvert gives you power. Look around. Choose someone to talk to enough that you can try to see if you can be a friend to them, right? That is a far more active introverted personality, experience than blowing your introvert out of the water, saying, I'm going to be an extrovert, and then, setting yourself up for a goal that you don't even want. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you aim for a goal that you don't want? What you want are goals that you do want. So no small talk, only vital talk. Don't make acquaintances, make friends. All right. Now, on to the last one. So for networking. So let me tell you this story. I was in Vegas and I'm giving a talk. I'm a speaker. So I have the pleasure some of the time, and some of the time the hell, of flying into another city, appearing in a room about an hour and a half before I'm going to talk, and then having a networking, like for the hour before I talk, having a networking session with people I don't know, and most likely I won't have much to do with, right? Because they're in a different city from me, unless I can turn them into a friend. And then I have to get up on stage and talk. Oh, that's a lot of problems for me. Like, that's a lot of problems. Like, as much as I like to get up on stage and talk, I have a whole bunch of issues in my body that want to stop me from getting up on stage and talking. They want to stop me from walking into a room where I have to network. Like, it makes me uncomfortable. Often it makes me painfully uncomfortable. We're going to talk about that in a story in a moment, but let's finish this story. I'm in Vegas. And so I'm in this room an hour and a half before I'm going to talk. I've checked in, I've done, like set up my computer, and I started to network. People are arriving and I start to network, and I talk to this first person. It goes horribly. Like all I can do is have small talk. I sort of blather for 3 minutes, 4 minutes about small talk, and nothing's working. And so I get out of that situation as quickly as I can, which is something you can always do. Go to the bathroom, do whatever, like come up with a good excuse. I've got to go do something. I've got to go help people, whatever. Come up with an excuse when you're in a killer conversation that's killing you. Get out of it. Go refresh, right? Okay, so I get away because I feel like I need to go wash. And then I go, here's another person. So I'm going to go talk to them and get, get things in rhythm. And the same thing happens. I just can't pull it together. So I break away from that conversation and I use my fallback, right? I use my fallback. What I do is I look around the room and I look for someone who looks as uncomfortable on the outside as I feel on the inside, right? Like, I look around, I go, that person looks uncomfortable. So I beeline for that person and I introduce myself. Hey, how you doing? I'm Roger Haskett. I'm with a speaker here a little bit later. How are you? Are you new to this organization? The person says, yeah. And I say, what's your name? It introduces himself as Rob. And so we start to talk, and I go, so how long have you been coming? This is the first time he's coming. What do you do? He's in sales. I go, oh, that must be a little do you find that awkward? And he goes, yeah, like I used to live in a different city where I knew everyone. Now I'm in this new city where I've got a new job. It's very uncomfortable. So we start bonding over our discomfort. I go, yeah, I'm here in a new city and I'm really uncomfortable too. So I'm like looking around. I go, you don't know anyone here? Like, there's no one in the room that we can go talk to? There's no one? And he's like, no, I got no one. So about, a couple minutes into it, someone walks by and I quickly reach out and go, hey, do you want to come in? It's this woman. Do you want to come on here? I'm Roger. This is Rob. Rob's new to the organization. I'm the speaker, so I'm going to be here one day, but he lives here. What's your name? And her name's Catherine. So I go, hey, Catherine, I want to introduce you to Rob. He works at this place, blah, blah, blah. Where do you work, Catherine? And so she starts talking a little bit about it. And we start laughing a little and we start bonding and we go, do you feel as uncomfortable? It turns out she's here for the second day or for the second time. And so I go, oh, so do you know people around? And she looks around, she goes, I don't really know anyone here. And I go, really? Like, that's the same as us. And so we start bonding over our discomfort. So we're laughing and joking and we're laughing a little bit more. People are starting to notice us because we're bonding. We're having a good time over how uncomfortable we are. Another person walks by, I grab them. I go, hey, come on over. I'm Roger. This is Rob. This is Catherine, I think. And, I introduce everyone. This is the thing. When you help other people, when you help others, you help yourself. So neuroscience is teaching us this, that one of the most important thing you can do to create happiness and success in your life is to have an amazing support network. So they've done the longest study in the history of humankind, was looking at Harvard men and what made certain ones successful and certain people not. And what they found was the strength of their social network is what made them successful, right? So think about that, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs often have a very small social network. Sometimes we don't even have good social networks, right? It's hard for us to even make good friends. So you want to think about that, introverts. You want to think about where you're getting your support from. But the kicker is this, and this is something that everyone can do. It's way better for your system to actually give support, to give help than it is to get it. Right? So it's great to get it. We need support. It's one of the ways that we determine who's successful in this world. But to really give yourself a kick, what you really need to do is help others. So when you're in a deep, dark hole, when you are down so far, everything is just a little, matchbook sized, light up there. You're in this deep, dark hole and you don't know how to get out. What you do is you help others. You help others. That will help you. So don't help yourself. That is nowhere near as effective as helping others. Excuse me. You want to help others, not just because it helps you to help others, not just because neuroscience gives you a kick when you help others, but also it's a sign of character, isn't it? It's a sign of character to help others when they're in need, especially if you're in need. It's a sign of your character if you can reach above yourself to help someone else. So for every reason, I believe it is great to help others. So here I am in Vegas. Within about 7 minutes, our group of 4 is breaking, is moving through the space and sort of peeling off. Rob has gone off with Catherine. I'm talking to this new woman who I can't remember her name. About 20 minutes later, they'd ask people to sit down for dinner. I'm going to talk soon, right? I look over and Rob is sitting down at a table with 700 people. And they're laughing. They're a group. I'm sitting down with my group of people. It's amazing how half an hour ago, we were lost in our heads. And yet half an hour later, by helping other people, I had regained the confidence, regained the outer energy that I needed, because I was about to get up on stage and do something that is not so easy. Okay, so when you're networking, we're going to go over this, right? When you're networking, no small talk, only vital talk. Don't make friends. Don't make acquaintances, make friends, and help others. Okay, so those are all ways that you can help yourself. Okay, we got to get moving. I've been talking too long. So let's move on to the second point. The way you think about stress determines its impact. Now, this is really important. This is like what I was referring to earlier when I was talking about the way I was thinking about my job affected the way I did my job. Obviously, what I thought my job was different from what I really came to understand what my job was. So the way we think and the way we change the way we think will actually make monstrous changes in your life. So we want to really, really focus on what it is we're actually thinking. And for introverts, often you have to peel away and get lower, deeper, darker, more foundational to find out what's really going on. Because often introverts hide things behind other things. Like we go, I'm not so good with other people, so I won't, interact with other people. Well, that's, being not good with other people is hiding behind the fact that really as an introvert, you don't want to be around huge amounts of people, usually. Not always, but usually, right? So it's better to dig down to find the core of what's going on. As an introvert, you have a personality type that attracts you to smaller groups and quieter groups in general than larger groups and more, loud groups. So, these are things to know. Okay, so the way you think about stress. Neuroscience has done some studies, some really interesting things. And what they found out is this. They took a group of people who were suffering, relatively large amounts of stress, and they divided them in half. One half was the control group, so they didn't do anything with them. They just said, go on, live your life, just like you're doing now. That's why you're in this group. The other group over here, they said, okay, you guys, we want to just tell you a different way to think about stress. Nothing else. We're not going to do anything else. There's no exercises, there's nothing else. Just, we want to tell you a different way of thinking. So it turns out that the way you think about stress determines its impact. And stress is actually just your body's and your brain's way of raising you up to do a job that your body thinks is important enough to do. So stress is just a way of creating an energy so that you can use that energy to do something else, to do something different, right? To do something outside the norm for you. So if you think of stress as a way of heightening your body's response, of heightening your brain's response to what's going on in your life, then stress isn't all bad. Like stress is actually not such a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's a good thing because it helps you get ready for things that you wouldn't actually be ready for without the stress. Michael, you want to put that chart up there? Is it? I don't know if it's already up there.
It's up there right now.
Okay, great. So this is what neuroscience is teaching us, that there's an actual optimum type of stress. There's a stress that leads to peak performance, and that without that stress, you're never going to get to that peak performance. But here's the kicker. If you go just too far, then suddenly the stress becomes overwhelming and your performance takes a nosedive, and you hit anxiety and disorganization and you're not able to do things. So the trick is keeping yourself on the positive side of stress. So this is what they told people. Just want to think about stress in a different way. You want to keep yourself on the positive side of it, right? So what happened is a year, months go by, a year goes by, and they come back to the group. The control group has had some bad news because the control group has 30%. 30% of the control group has had illnesses that are stress related, and serious ones like, cardiac arrest type stress related illnesses. 30%,
wow.
A third. Then they went over to the group that they didn't do anything except tell them about stress. That's all they did, right? They didn't give them things. They didn't teach them exercises about how to breathe, when they're under stress. Nothing. They just said, stress is actually here to help you. How many people in that study, in that part of the study, that group, how many people in those groups suffered stress-related illnesses? 30%. Over here, how much over here? Any guess? Do you have any guess?
I do, but I already know the answer.
You know the answer. 0. It's magical. 0. The answer is 0. By teaching these people a different way to think about stress, they change the effect it had on them.
Incredible.
So wouldn't you like that, introverts? Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't you like to think, oh, I'm feeling stress. I'm going to go into a networking event, or I got to do some sales, or I got to pick up a phone and talk to someone right now when I would rather just be doing some analysis and strategy. I'm under stress. And instead of thinking, damn it, I'm under stress again. I'm killing myself with this stress. I'm killing myself. This is so hard. I've got to do. Instead of thinking any of those things, what you start to think is, okay, I'm feeling stress. Okay, my body's getting ready for something. My body's tuning itself up so that I'm going to be a bigger, better version of myself when I need it. Right now, when I'm going to walk into this networking event, I'm breathing a little more shallowly. I can feel the stress. I can feel the pressure. So I need to breathe into it. I need to wake my body up to this stress level, because that stress level is what I need to do the next thing I'm doing. Networking, sales, whatever. Isn't that interesting that you as an introvert have a body that is geared to look after yourself, that you have a body that understands your personality and gives you resources to deal with it? Isn't that interesting? Because don't we often think as introverts that our bodies betray us? Don't we often think, oh, if only I was stronger. If only I was more like that person, then I wouldn't feel this way, and then I'd be great. Life would be great if I only didn't feel this way. Well, the truth is you do feel this way, and you feel this way and you feel the increasing stress. Why? Because this is your body trying to help you do things that normally are really hard for you. I think that's amazing. Yeah. I think that's amazing. All right. So let me tell you about this. So I told you about in Vegas. I'll make this really short. I told you in Vegas when I was losing it, so I went and helped others. So just before I was giving a talk, we're going to have a testimonial from that later, but just before I was giving a talk to a bunch of project managers, I listened to another guy do a talk, Hugh Culver. He's great. He's a great speaker. He talks about time management, amongst other things. He was great right in front of me. He was great. And I was thinking, what? What? I have to get on after this guy? No, he's really good. I don't think I'm that good. And I started to fall inside my head. You guys know this feeling, right? I fell inside my head, and I started to fall in and be looking out going, how am I ever going to get out there again? How am I going to get out to the world where I can actually stand on the stage? So what I did, and I didn't have a chance to help anyone. I was sitting this is the worst for me. I was sitting in a chair waiting to be introduced. I have no way to move. I can't talk to someone. I can't help someone. I can't pull myself out of myself by helping someone else, I can't do any of those things. So I do what I teach people. I started to practice Roger's rules. I started to do the things right there in that chair, which I am teaching. And it was, and it is amazing how I can pull myself back from the edge just from following a couple very basic, very simple Roger's rules. Okay, so one of the Roger's rules that I follow is the way you think about stress determines its impact. So as I sat in that chair, I started to breathe into my stress. I started to go, okay, Hugh Culver is great. That's amazing. I don't have to be as good as him. I just have to be me. It's not like there's a competition to be as good as Hugh. What I want to be is as good as I can be. And everyone else in this room wants me to be as good as I can be. So let's focus more on how to get my energy going as opposed to comparing it to Hugh. And I started to just use a bunch of, I started to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I started to fight to be positive. I started to use these techniques that I have so that I could change my energy while I was seated 2 minutes before I'm going on stage. We're going to look at the testimonial a little later. You tell me if I was successful or not. Let's move on to the last point because we're really running out of time.
Right. Good idea.
Okay, so last point. What we want to do is use a superpower that you have to combine your introverted personality and your entrepreneurial drive, because that's what we are, right? We have an introverted personality, which really controls what we want to do in life. And then we have an entrepreneurial drive that is driving us to share something with the world, to do something and put it out into the world. So I believe that these things usually are in conflict. Bang, 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 right? That's exactly what happened to me most of my life. Okay, I want to just work on strategy. There goes the phone. Do I answer it and talk to a client right now? When I've got to do it because it's business, and I answer the phone, right? Or I go home and I've had a really tough day because introverted entrepreneurs often have tough days. And when I open the door, all I want is to sit on my couch, maybe watch a show, maybe talk to my kids, maybe, talk to my wife, maybe go for a walk, maybe do some exercise, maybe read a book, like all these things that I have in my mind of what I need to do just to get through this last part of the day. And when I open the door, instead of any of that, I have screaming kids. I have a wife who hands me my 2-year-old and goes, okay, I'm going for a walk. These kids are yours for the next while. And I have a decision to make, right? I have a decision. Do I become a parent in those moments because my kids need me and my wife needs me? Or do I say, forget it, I've had too hard of a day as an introverted entrepreneur and I'm going to go sit on the couch and do this, my non-parent thing, right? Well, the world constantly forces us to make decisions about what part of our personality we're going to support and honor, and which part we're not. Like which part is going to come to the forefront, and which part is going to recede to the background. We have to make those decisions all day long. So what we want to do is use our superpower, because what we can do, we're humans. We can have one thing going on inside our heads that is totally separate and different from what's going on the outside of us, right? We can have something going on like chaos inside our head, like alarms going off and demolition derbies and cannons and there's wars going on in your head, but on the front, your skin, the part that you show the world, you can be a very different person. I know I'm an actor. This is why I went into acting. One of the reasons I went into acting is because I wanted to figure out how to be more me. I wanted to figure out how to be me more and not get stuck in all these like roles and these things. I wanted to figure out how to be me more. Because as an introvert, it's often hard to feel like you can be you. So what I do is I take our human superpower of acting, of playing roles, of being two different people or more than that, like being one person that you're showing and one person that you're not showing. I took that power and I started to apply it to my business. So when I need to, I let my introvert side take power, because there's a huge amount of power in being an introvert. You should know this as an entrepreneur, right? Introverted entrepreneurs are amazing at strategy. They're amazing at analysis. They're amazing at creating systems that are incredibly strong, that will allow their company to grow in huge ways. We tend to have amazing talents as an introvert, which often are ignored because the world often is recognizes extroverts more, right? The world is sort of geared towards recognizing extroverts. So we often also devalue our own power as introverts. So we've got to pull that power up. We've got to pull it up and hold it. Like there's a power to being an introvert, but there's a time when you don't want to be an introvert. When there's a time where your entrepreneurial drive needs to take precedence, when you need to sell, even if you don't want, when you need to have a meeting with staff, even if you don't want, when you need to have client meetings or pitch meetings, when you need to talk to banks, when you need to talk to clients or staff or whoever, like whatever it is that sets you off, there are times when you need to do that, even if you don't. So how amazing to be able to pull your entrepreneurial side and put it at the front of your body and let your introverted side slide back. Now, I believe you can do this way more effectively the better you are at honoring your introverted side. I think if you dishonor your introverted side, it's really hard to balance back and forth because you're constantly going, this is no good, so I always need to be this. Well, that's not the way to go. That's ridiculous. That's a way to be unhappy. You want to be happy doing this. So you want to figure out how to be as happy being an introvert as possible and let your entrepreneurial side take precedence when it needs to, and then let your introvert take precedence again when it needs to. Okay, so you want to combine these things. You want to combine these things and not have them be either or. You want them to be both, but one is showing more and one is showing less, and then you reverse. All right, so we're running out of time, Michael, so let's wrap it up.
Okay, let's take a review here of what you've been talking about. And I just wanted to make a note that at the end of the webinar shortly, we'll have a link to a support guide where you can have all of these information points that Roger's pointed out in a form so that you can keep track of them. So they're all there ready for you to go.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention there's a log there. What I'm going to do is a job, because what I often do when I assign this task is people, introverts will be like, no, I don't do that. I'm an introvert all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a log where you can actually say in the course of one day, how many times you sort of push into one part of your personality and then push into a different part, because I believe you do it all the time. I believe you do it quite often. And if you can do it quite often without knowing it, it means you can do it quite often knowing it. I believe we have that superpower. You're human. If you're human, I believe you have it.
Exactly. So let's take a review here. Make networking more profitable and more pleasant. And the way to do that is no small talk, only vital talk. Don't make acquaintances, make friends, and help others. The second section Roger worked on was the way you think about stress determines its impact. Use stress to your advantage in everyday situations. Stress is both our friend and our enemy, so learn how to make it work for you.
Yeah.
Of course, there's the Yerke-Dodson graph, which we'll have for you. Third section is combine your entrepreneurial talents and introvert personality to create success. Take on a role, keep a log, then use the acquired knowledge and understanding to play the best role in each situation. And I'll just throw in a real quick story here. Years ago, I went to a motivational speaker, sales speaker in Vancouver. His name is Brian Tracy. For those of you who don't know Brian Tracy, very similar to Zig Ziglar, Tony Robbins, a very
big name in sales.
Big name in sales. I'm sitting in the audience. I think there was about 2,500 people. And Brian got up and gave a 2-hour talk, 15 or 20-minute break, and then a 2-hour talk. And at the end of it, he said, now, anyone who has any questions, come sit down at the end of the stage. I'll sit down at the end of the stage and come on up and ask me your questions. Well, introverted entrepreneur that I am, I stand up and I look around and there's a lineup, 50, 75, I don't know, people. So I get in the end of it. Well, he's doing this. What's happening, though, this is really important. At the back of the room, they're making sales. At that point, it was their old CDs, of course, and I think they were $200 or $300 for a case of his tapes.
Cassette tapes, not
cassette
CDs.
tapes.
Oh my goodness, it's even farther back.
Cassette tapes. And so the whole point of it is that Brian Tracy just spent 4 hours pouring everything he knew out to the audience. But as I got closer to walking up to him, I looked at him. He's 40 or 45 years of age. He looked like he was going to die. He was done. He was spent. He had used everything he had, but yet he still sat on the edge of the stage and answered questions. And the point is, he answered questions because his job was not done yet. His job did not end when he got off the stage. His job ended when the last person asked the last question and they left the room, because every minute he sat there, one more person went and bought, another person went and bought, another person.
Right.
So he increased his income dramatically. Actually, he makes his money by back of room sales, not off of the speeches that he gave. So that's how to capitalize on knowing what your entrepreneurial talents can work with your introverted personality. Now, we have a question for you. Why did you show up today? Could it have been that you're tired of getting the same results from the same effort? You want to increase income and sales. You want positive results fast. You want to reduce your stress at home and at work. You're ready to turbocharge your growth, and you want the positives to pile up and the negatives to fade away. It's time for you to be a more successful introverted entrepreneur. We're introducing our brand new course specifically designed for introverted entrepreneurs, titled Winning Strategies for Introverted Entrepreneurs. It's a video course, how to thrive at home and work. Roger,
and it's really important here that we talk about home and work, because it is ridiculous to be aiming to be successful in work without being successful at home. Like, you need to focus on you need to choose a goal that actually is a goal that you want. So many times people choose goals without actually thinking what their goal is. You don't want to be just happy at work. This is a ridiculous thing. And introverted entrepreneurs have personality that needs to be dealt with. And you need to deal with that personality both at work and at home. It drives me crazy when people do not talk about how to take what we're talking about and pull it into your home life, because that is as valuable, if not more valuable, than what you do at work, right? It has to be.
Exactly. This course is an ultimate shortcut to combining your introverted personality and your entrepreneurial talents so that you can fast track your growth, income, and profits and thrive at work and at home. And I just wanted to throw in here a quick note that someone's going to say, well, this is your sales presentation. No, this is our conversation. We're having a conversation with the people that have spent time listening to Roger's presentation. If this is something that is of interest to you, wonderful. We're giving you some details, but we're not selling. We're not forcing anything down. We're just giving you the information to see if we can not sell, but help other people.
Yeah, we believe in helping people. And I know that I've needed help. And when I've got it, it has been amazing. I look around in my life and I think about, I'm a teacher. I think about what it is that I can do to turn backwards and help people along the journey that I have just gone on, so that it's shorter, faster, more turbocharged. That's what we're looking for at you. All right.
Exactly. So what's included in our course? 7 core modules with 17 advanced video training, 7 support guides to lock in your learning, a bonus video walking through the door. And you got to watch this video. It's incredible insight into a lot of stress-filled moments for people, but you got to watch it. Live question and answer video conference, where after people have signed up and had a chance to go through some of the material, we have a group conversation, which is incredibly important to be able to.
Yeah, really important for introverts, to be able to listen to other people ask questions. Introverts tend to be challenged in the asking their own question category. So it's really good to have a group where you guys have each other's back and you can learn while other people step forward and ask things. You can absorb through that. Okay, let's move on. We're running out of time.
We are. Annie White said, I followed many of your suggestions and found to my amazement that I was not even nervous. You had an enormous impact on me and my ability to achieve this lifelong goal. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
A total introverted entrepreneur. She's a writer. Every single time that she had to get up and read at a book reading, she had a month of like throwing up and horrible, stress. She listened to me in a talk, not even my course. So she only heard it once, and she changed everything. She said everything changed. The next book reading she enjoyed. She did not just get through it. She loved it. That is what I hope to offer you.
VIP bonuses. Bonus number 1, neuroscience video mini course for introverted entrepreneurs, a series of 5 amazing videos in a mini course that work with neuroscience findings to positively change the way you, as an introverted entrepreneur, work and live on a daily basis. VIP bonus number 2 is the first 4 people registered from this webinar today will get a 30-minute Skype personal one-on-one coaching call with Roger. Obviously, incredible, huge value. I don't think we have to belabor that point at all. What's the investment? $197 today plus 5 installments of $197 to follow. The course, Winning Strategies for Introverted Entrepreneurs video course. And
yes. So introverts tend to often have a challenge taking action right away. Introverts tend to spend a lot of time thinking about things before they act. We wanted to take that pressure away from you. We have a complete money back guarantee, 60 seconds or 60 days. It doesn't matter. You don't feel that you're learning or getting any value out of it. You can go through the whole course and then say to us, I don't feel that there's value here. We will give your money back. We will give it back. We do not want to take money from people that we're not helping. Really, it's as simple as that. But for people who are feeling the value, the amount that you will get out of this course was going to blow the investment out of the water. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm just turning on the link, and so below the video shortly the link should come up. So I wanted to point out it's now just coming up to the top of the hour, so we've kept it within our 60 minutes. We've got a couple more slides to go through, so we hope that you can stay for these last few slides. If you want to go over and take advantage of that bonus for the 30-minute Skype call, go ahead and do it. There's the link on the screen. There's the link on the screen, and it should be coming up below the video shortly. This is the page you're going to go to. All you have to do is enter in your first and last name and your email address. You're going to have an option of payments of $197, 6 of them in total, or if you're one of those type of people that likes to pay in full up front, you can do that and save $185 at $997. This is the page that you'll end up on once you've gone through and ordered and you get your welcome email and you get your login ID and that, all this things that you need to do. But this is actual picture of the page. So probably you're not all Melissas. I would take a guess that some of you are
someone else,
Tom or Jim or John or Mary or Kate or so that would change. There's a list of the modules, and here are the module titles.
This is where it started. This is me and probably you too. The birth of Roger's Rules, where it all started and everything started to change for me. Roger's Rules, for example, so we start talking about them in particular: get comfortable being uncomfortable, fight to be positive. The important word there is fight. We are all liars, and this is a superpower that we can use even if we do not feel that we are representing ourselves. We can be different people at different times when you need to get energy to get above and beyond certain parts of your personality. The way you think about stress determines its impact. We'll learn more about that and more studies and more ways that we can apply this to our life. And the power of play, one of the most important and valuable and potent ways of getting past your issues of interacting with people is to play. And we're going to talk about that and how to do that and what that means.
Excellent. Milos, Roger, this is the one that you talked about earlier. You wanted to mention this one.
This is the one that just before I got on stage, I felt like I wasn't going to be able to get on stage. And then I followed my own advice and I got up, and this is what they said: Roger's a true talent. It was awe-inspiring watching him. He was literally bursting with energy and had the entire room captivated with intensity and charisma, blah, blah, blah. Right. So inside my head, while this talk was going on, I was still struggling with pulling my energy up. But because we are all liars, I'm able to act a certain way on stage, even if inside my body I don't necessarily feel like that. This is something that we're going to talk about harnessing for you so that you can take advantage of that superpower too. Excellent.
Question is, can you afford to wait 5, 10, 20 years to change your life? So consider what could happen in your life if you were able to become a more successful introverted entrepreneur. Would that mean mastering that presentation you've been dreading, or finally being able to ask out that someone special, or leading the meeting in a cool, confident manner?
That'd be nice.
Or attending that network or social meeting.
Hey, Michael, let me tell the dentist story because we're out of time. Let me tell it over this slide. So just keep going on that slide. Okay, so I'm going to make this really short. So I was talking to a bunch of dentists one year, and then the year back, they invited me back for a sort of a different group of dentists, but in the same conference. While I'm ready to do that talk, just before it starts, these two people come sort of scurrying in to the the room, and I sort of they go to the front row, which is really weird because there's no one in the first 4 rows. So I go up to them and I go, hey guys, what's going on? And immediately the guy gets up and leaves. He just sort of goes, oh, excuse me, I got to go to the washroom, and he leaves. And the woman, which turns out is his wife, starts to laugh. And she goes, well, the reason we're here is because of him. And he's walking out the room right now. She goes, yeah, last year you talked to this conference. I'm a dentist. My husband isn't. So he went and saw, I was doing dentist stuff. He went and saw your pressure cooker confidence. He's an introverted entrepreneur. Like, this is what he is. He has his own company and he has a huge amount of issue trying to run it because he's an introvert. He came and listened to you for, like, an hour in your speech, like an hour and a half. And he came home, this is a year ago, he came home a changed man. So the last year, everything has changed in our life. He used to wake up in the night, like, feeling ill because he had to go do something with his staff, or, he had a big pitch meeting, or he had a presentation to do. He would have all this horrible stress that we would have to deal with at home. Every day he had the stress. It was horrible. Going to work, coming home, there was always stress because he didn't know how to deal with his entrepreneurial issues as an introvert. He listened to you for an hour and a half, and he changed. We came to this because I came to say, first of all, I wanted to see what you talked about, and I wanted to say thank you, because our life is better. Our life is so much better now that he's dealing with his stress without it having to spill everywhere. Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't I? Would like that. I hope you would.
Yeah, certainly. Just bring this up quickly. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning, stay tuned for the really cool bonus. There's the link right there. Durango Courses /C2 Masterclass Support Guide. It's also underneath the video now. If you click on it, it'll take you directly to that page. You can download the support guide, which has all of the information that we've been talking about today in a manner that you can work through and use it to your advantage. Now, we appreciate that we've gone a couple minutes past. We still have people sending in some questions. So let's cover these questions real quickly. A couple people have gone over and taken advantage of the VIP bonus, the Skype 30-minute one-on-one call with Roger. We still have 2 available. So if you're so inclined, again, this is up to you. It's your decision. If you're so inclined, pop over there, lock in that Skype bonus for you, and then come on back if you're interested in these last few questions. If we're off before you come back, we'll send you the link to the replay. You can fast forward to the end of it and listen to these few questions. I will make a note, though. Anyone who's sent in a question which we do not answer, I will send you an email reply because we have that information. Great. Okay. First question. This is funny, Roger, because this comes up quite often. So guess what the first question is? Who's the guy that's talking there? So there he is. That's me. I'm an introverted entrepreneur. I enjoy the background. I enjoy having a brother who likes to be more focused, more in front of people. But as an introverted entrepreneur, I don't mind showing my face and saying hello to everybody as well. I think it was Teresa who asked, who is that guy? So there we go. That's who I am. We'll go back to sharing the screen, and we'll go back to Roger Live as we go through these questions. So a couple quick questions here, because I know people are
let's move on.
People are still online, and so they're waiting for the answers to their questions. So let's get to them. Chris asks, I always have a lot of stress in my life, at work and at home. Is this topic dealt with in the course?
No, that's all that we talk about. I mean, that's the joke. We talk about a bunch of different things, but yes, it's all about how to deal with stress. Like, we're not talking about eliminating stress. What we're doing is we're talking about understanding its place in your life. And by understanding its place, you actually depower it so that you start to take power over your stress rather than it constantly being in charge of you. So yes, if you don't learn how to deal with stress, we will give you your money back.
Yeah, very interesting story, Chris, on this one. We have a whole video, and it's called Get the Barf Out of Leadership, or Get the Barf Out of Entrepreneurship. And in a nutshell, I have a friend who has a couple franchises, fast food franchises, and he rates his week by literally how many times he throws up.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's sad. And What happens is that he goes home and his wife says, "How was your day?" And he says, "Well, it was pretty good. I didn't throw up today." "How was your day?" "Well, I threw up today." And so he rates it based on the stress. Now, the reason we bring that up is because he didn't have any way to deal with that stress. He didn't know how to turn that stress to his advantage. So taking some of Roger's rules and applying them in his life, he was able to reduce that stress enormously, to the point that he would come home and his wife would say at the end of the week, "How was your week?" And he would say, "It's fantastic. I didn't throw up at all this week, and I didn't last." Like he's finding ways to deal with that.
That's awesome.
Sylvia asks, "How long is the membership for?" Great question, Sylvia. Current membership is for lifetime access, but we are moving in the near future to a monthly recurring membership. So this is by far the best time to get in, lifetime full membership. Sherry asks, "Can I order next week?" Sherry, you can order whenever you want. Again, this is a conversation, and it's a conversation with you as well. I also can tell you, we know statistically that if you take the time to sleep on it, you probably will find that life gets in your way.
Yeah, this is very clear. The reason webinars and everything else have these sort of hard push sales at the end is because statistically, like Michael said, it's very clear. If you don't take action, usually when action is presented, you usually don't take action. Some people will. There might be 5%, 10% that will still do it, but most people, it will fall off the radar screen. So, if you're interested, take action, get your money back if you don't find it valuable. It's right.
Yeah.
It's we want to take the pressure away from you. If you don't find it valuable, you won't pay.
No, 60 minutes, 60 days. Yeah. That's the whole point of it, is that there is no pressure. There's no stress in the decision. Frank asks, "How often can I watch each specific module?"
Oh, as much as you want. This is and I expect people to watch a lot. We put them into bite-sized chunks with sort of very specific topics so that you can watch 5 minutes on this or 15 minutes on this, so that when you have areas that resist improvement, which you will have, right? This is work. This is hard stuff. We're talking about moderating and trying to take some control over personality. That's huge. That's a huge amount of work. So you often will have to watch over and over. I know people who watch, like 5, 10, 15 times, like that they find one topic very valuable to watch. So yeah.
It's a process of lock-in learning, and you'll if you get inside the course, you'll see that the lock-in learning is emphasized a lot, because it's a scientific fact on how to improve what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Kelly asks, "Can I share my password in the members area?" No, Kelly, you can't. Each membership is for one person. If you're interested in a corporate account, which some people are, just send me an email to support@durangocourses.com, and I'll get back to you with the details on that.
Yeah.
Tracy asks, "How long is each video?" Videos range between 5 minutes and 20 minutes. Each video is exactly as long as it needs to be to get the point across. So each module, there's 7 core modules. Each module has between 2 and 3 videos in it, broken down into subsections of that core module.
And each with support guides, so that you can work through it and make sure that you're locking in your learning, and it doesn't just go in one ear and go at the other, but rather that this becomes part of your body, part of who you are.
Exactly. Stella asks, "Will the course come on sale in the future?" No. Short answer, Stella, no. It's not. This is the lowest price. Doug asks, "What if I try it and find that it isn't for?" Oh, sorry, I couldn't read that clearly. Doug says, "What if I try it out and find that it isn't for me?" 60 minutes or 60 days guarantee. We talked about that. I think we've answered that question already. Yeah. Okay, there's a couple more questions. We're not going to carry on with them. I will send replies to each person individually. I wanted to thank Roger for his incredible effort and information, particularly when he's suffering from allergy and a little bit of a cold. So Roger, thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys were here.
Yeah, and I wanted just to say, we want to thank everybody for attending today and staying with us to the end. Since you committed your time to be with us here up to the very end, it tells us that you're someone who's dedicated to success. It seems to us you'd be perfect to try out our offer today. That's your choice. We hope that you do. Click on the link at the bottom and sign up. Happy to see you in the members area. That's it for us today. Hope everyone has a great day. We'll talk to you all very soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye.